Hey everybody, it's me, the Storyteller. Now, if you know the post that I posted up on YouTube, you know that I'm starting to now do Danny Rand's origins, and the reason I'm doing that is because I feel like that anytime I see a video talking about Danny's origins, it usually leaves out like certain comic series and doesn't really try to add up everything together, and they just mainly kind of focus his comic book series or his comic book origins that just came from the 70s. But today I'm going to be adding up everything from the 70s to Iron Fist, the Living Weapon, so that way everybody can know about his entire origin from the old stuff and to the new stuff. But I'm also going to keep some stuff out because I don't want to make this video longer than it is. This video is mostly going to focus on Danny and not anything else. So if I say anybody like Wendell Rand or Orson Rand and talk about them for a little bit, it's just gonna be like a slight overview of the characters and nothing much more. But other than that, let's get started with Danny Rand's origins and his family. Danny was born to one Heather and Wendell Rand, but is actually Wendell Rand's second child. His first child is that of Danny's sister, Miranda Rand. And for the most part, Wendell Rand was actually a good father to Danny, but he had an obsession to go back to Kunlun. And the reason for that was because Wendell Rand was once a citizen of Kunlun before leaving it to go to America. So Wendell would take his family and his business partner Harold Meacham to go look for the city of Kunlun. However, as they were traveling, they got hit by a snowstorm, and Meacham, tired of being in the snow and tired of looking for this city, decides to light a flare, but in turn, that causes an avalanche which sends Heather and Danny off to the side of a ravine, and left Danny's father hanging on the side of a cliff. And before Meacham cut Danny's father loose, Danny's father looked at him one more time with crazed eyes and asked him if he was going to help him reach the city of Kunlun before he falls off the cliff and into the ravine down below. And as Wendell fell, Meacham then tries to help up Heather and Danny, saying that he did everything because he loved her, and kind of hinting that maybe they've been having an affair behind Wendell's back, but she rejects him and tells Danny to make her a promise to make Meacham pay. Meacham then makes his way back down the mountain, and as Heather and Danny also try to find their way back down from the mountain, they actually run into a pair of wolves, which they started running away from until they found a bridge, but knowing that the wolves would catch up to them eventually, Heather throws herself into the pack of wolves, allowing herself to be eaten, and for Danny to be eventually saved by some hunters from Kunlun. Later, the hunters would bring Danny to the UT, and the UT would know what happened to Danny's mother, and he asked him what can they do to make his life a lot easier in Kunlun, and he said that he would want revenge. So the UT takes Danny to their martial arts instructor known as Lei Kun the Thunderer. But Danny's training didn't begin right away. First, he was tested by Lei Kun to see if he even had the drive to get revenge. Not only that, the will to get up again and to continue fighting, even if he was beaten down again and again. And Danny showed Lei Kun that he had that in him. He had the will and the drive. But that all changed when Danny got into his first fight with another student, and it shows that Danny is still a child as he begged and pleaded the people of Kunlun to just let him go and to let him go back home, and that he would pay them if they did so. But Lei Kun would again force him to fight the student, and when the student said something about his mother, that's when his anger came back out as he beat down the student and beat him to a bloody pulp. After the training session, a little girl would actually come by and try to cheer up Danny, but still angry about what the little boy had said to him, he doesn't want her to be around him and knocks the plate away, but it's shown that she's actually a very skilled martial artist. And that's when Lei Kun comes in and reveals that this little girl is actually his daughter in every way but blood, so she's his adopted daughter. And as Danny tries to leave, Lei Kun stops him and tells him that the secret to living forever is to guard his heart, and that one day he would become a citizen of Kunlun and no longer an outsider. The next day, the same kid as before picks on Danny, and then Lei Kun's daughter stops them, and then when they try to pick on her, she shows them that she knows more Kung Fu than they do. And as the boys leave Danny alone for now, she checks up on Danny, but Danny just tells her that they're just gonna do it again tomorrow. But then that's when she gives Danny a watch that used to belong to his dad, and she notes to Danny that technology isn't allowed in Kunlun. And then that's when a group of girls come by and tell Lei Kung's daughter that the challenge is happening at the arena. And what challenge is that? Well, it's the challenge for the Iron Fist to fight against the One. And as the fight begins, Danny sees nothing but a slaughter, as the current Iron Fist is pretty much easily taken out without much of a fight. Hell, he doesn't even land a good blow on the One. And you can say that this left a mental scar in Danny's mind, and kind of reminder that if he wants his revenge against Meachum, he needs to become more than what he is now, or else he'll become like the Iron Fist that laid before him, dead on the ground. Now, a little time has passed after the tournament. We see Danny and Lei Kung's daughter start to train with one another. And that's because beforehand, she told Danny if he really wanted to get some actual training done, then training with her would be the best thing. And we actually see that she's actually very good, not only as a martial artist, but at exploiting Danny's weaknesses as well. And after their training session, we also see that their bond with one another has become stronger, to the point where not only are they friends now, but later on in the future, they would become lovers. Not only that, Danny would actually be the one to give her a real name, her name being Sparrow. Later, Sparrow takes Danny to go see a secret room, as it's revealed that underneath Kunlun, there is an entire place full of hidden technology, as well as the person that made everything, Foe. And as they were found out by him, he told his guards to take them away. Now, we don't really know what happened to Danny or Sparrow after this, but we can assume that they probably just got a slap on the wrist, and Danny went back to training, and Sparrow maybe was like grounded or something. And as the years went by, we would see Danny become more and more of a martial artist, but it still wasn't enough. And so he trained his hands to become as strong as steel, but it still wasn't enough. So they allowed him to face the dragon, Shu Lao. So Danny would have one of the most difficult fights in his life, but eventually he would manage to beat the dragon by putting his chest on its emblem on its chest. And then he would go into the cave and then begin to shove his hands into the heart of the dragon, therefore gaining the ability to use the Iron Fist. However, before he can even have the title of the Iron Fist, he had to fight Kunlun's best warriors. Not only that, he had to fight the One, the same being that killed the Iron Fist before him. And so after a long and gruesome fight with the One, Danny finally defeats the being, but it turns out that the One wasn't actually human, but an android. And the only one who can create an android like this was Foe. And after this little revelation, Foe was sentenced to death for having technology within Kunlun. And then sometime after, UT would give Danny the option to eat the fruit of immortality, so that way Danny himself can become immortal, but he rejects it as he still wants revenge against Meachum. But the UT tries to sway Danny into giving up his revenge, even telling him that he is his father's brother. But that still doesn't sway Danny as he leaves Kunlun to go back to America. Now, I do know that there's some parts of Danny's new origins from the Living Weapon series that doesn't really match up well with his old origins back in the 70s. But I did try to match things up as best I could. Not only that, I actually wanted to show you guys the differences between the 70s origins as well as his new origins from the Living Weapon, especially showing that his dad was more crazy and kind of obsessed with going back to Kunlun. And I do want to say that even though the UT does say he is Wendell's brother, I don't really think they touch up on it too much in the 70s origin, and from going forward, I don't think it's ever really brought up again. I do think that maybe that was just UT trying to get Danny to stay in Kunlun, or that maybe when he said that he is Wendell's brother, I think he meant that he is Wendell's martial arts brother or adopted brother, because again, Lei Kung adopts everybody that is an orphan, and maybe UT was an orphan as well before becoming the UT. I don't exactly know. I'll probably look up more into it as we go on into this, but that's it for now. If you guys have any questions, leave me a comment down below. If you guys want to like talk to me, feel free to chat me up on TikTok. And if you guys have any other things that you want to talk about, comment them down below, or again, just message me on TikTok. Other than that, that's it for me, guys, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time.